Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh! Yeah!
Did you see that listener who posted on social media that their ex-boyfriend was like making fun of them for being such a Wine and Crime fan, and he like made a video. I don't know if that's why they broke up, but
and now they're divorced and like one of
and
them
it was like
died.
so juicy. No, but he made some video making fun of the intro, like doing the intro, but then he like nailed the Minnesotan accent. So Andrea was just like, whatever, and posted
you crushed it. It's amazing.
Thank you, you're humiliating your partner, but you're
making him proud.
Just flattering their favorite podcast.
Mm-hmm. Turns out you're just a gateway gal, and you didn't know it.
Yeah, slippery slope.
All right.
Slip slope.
Who are we? I'm Kenyon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda.
And this week we have a very special fan pick brought to you by Andriana. Andriana.
Okay.
Andriana.
You don't know how to pronounce that, but it is beautiful. Andriana Male.
Mm-hmm. A male.
A male.
Oh, but brought to you by
she, her pronouns.
No, I am.
She, her pronouns. Let's start over. Andriana.
Keep it all.
You have the same last name as Peter Mayle, who wrote lovely books about Provence in the 1990s.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Well, this fan picker has selected.
Cool. Wow.
This might not be as validating as my Bend It Like Beckham joke that like 50 people online were like,
either of them validating?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
a lot of
all
people have
Twitter.
been coming out in support of the Bend It Like Beckham joke. So
all the bisexuals got my joke.
I love the bisexuals.
They're the best.
Ugh, the best.
They, we, whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So
we are the best.
whatever. Fan picker has selected the topic of West Virginia crime.
Mountain Mama crimes. Take me home, country road.
Amanda, remember when we drove through West Virginia for 8 minutes on our road trip?
Or like 8 seconds, and yes.
We drove through that like weird little like.
Yep.
Woo, there's a
nubbin.
weird little
nub.
Woo.
Yeah, it's a nub.
Yep. I know
It's
exactly the nub.
approximately 8 minutes long.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really a brief nub.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brief nub.
Is that the only time each of you have been to West Virginia?
Yes.
I think so. And I think that was enough.
I'm good. Personally.
My aunt and uncle have a cabin there. And I've been a couple times actually, and it's really beautiful. And their neighbor, who has now passed away, probably unrelated to this, but there's no way to know.
There's no way to know.
What are you getting
Where the
at?
fuck is this going?
Well, he used to collect squirrel roadkill, and
that sounds like the most West Virginia
if it was
hobby
fresh,
ever.
We'll get to it, actually.
and then cook it, and then cut it into cubes and freeze it, and then he would just have he'd just pop the cubes in his mouth for a snack.
It's like jerky.
Frozen squirrel cubes?
Yeah, he'd eat them
It's
frozen.
fine. I mean,
they were cooked.
that is also not exclusive to West Virginia, lest we be confused.
Ish.
But
It's Appalachia, baby.
Appalachia, baby. There's
I'm
there's
good.
a lot of cool stuff about West Virginia, except for its senator.
Except for that.
Except for Joe Manchin.
That's
I'm
where we
putting it
draw
out
the
there.
line.
They have a
Yeah.
beautiful state house with a golden dome.
You know what? We're going to get to a lot of
Okay.
good and bad things about West Virginia. So I encourage you to interject these anecdotes at the proper time.
Okay.
which
Well,
is
I just
not
wanted
now,
to get ahead of
apparently.
people who would say that we were shitting on West Virginia.
We
Well,
shit
maybe
on
we
every
will.
state we cover. We always
will.
get these emails that are like, "You didn't represent us." Blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, duh. That's the point.
We shit on everything. Yeah.
We shit on everything. We are
Including ourselves.
insufferable hags.
We will shit on Minnesota, too, when
Oh
the time
my
comes.
God, constantly. The only thing we have going for us is we're not Wisconsin. Am I right?
All right. Well, let's get to our wine crime pairing for West Virginia crimes.
You guys, it's okay. Okay. So, story time. I'm actually really mad at myself for already pairing hard Mountain Dew.
That would have been so perfect.
The Mountain
It would have
State.
been. Yeah,
Mountain
well,
State,
because
bye-bye.
so I was looking up, I was trying to find a West Virginia adjacent either wine or cocktail or something. So I started my search with favorite drinks in West Virginia and got milk, specifically raw milk because of all the farmers that just suck it straight from the teat.
Okay, that is so Schitt's Creek, and I love it.
And
I'll
Mountain
say
Dew.
that's pretty Iowa, too.
That was milk and Mountain Dew were the top two.
Mountain
and like
Dew. Is Mountain Dew
fucking-ish.
from West Virginia?
I don't think it is.
Okay.
But they fucking love it.
Yeah.
It's their number one consumed sody pop.
Right.
So obviously I was not going to go down either of those paths because I had just paired my hard Mountain Dew. I do have one left, but I did go down a brief rabbit hole of cocktails that incorporate milk, but I find milk repulsive, so I quickly stopped that search.
Besides a White
Especially
Russian.
Regurgitated milk.
Yeah, my least favorite. Yeah, and I didn't have I would have just done a White Russian, which actually wouldn't really be milk, it would be cream. But I didn't have all the fixins for it. So then I pivoted and went for most popular cocktail in West Virginia, which, thank God Almighty, was gin and tonic. But I didn't want that either, so I am drinking a Vizzy black cherry lime hard seltzer fortified with antioxidants and vitamin C because I'm healthy.
Yeah. It's the
What are
healthy
you
salad.
choice.
It's
The
a
healthy
salad.
choice. It's a salad in a can. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking some Savi B from
Ooh.
Oyster Bay because it was what was open in my fridge.
I
love
love that
Oyster Bay
shit.
Sauvignon. Yeah.
The Oicy B.
Yeah,
OCB.
some
Tastes
Savi
good.
B from Oyster B.
Well, I had a little bit of vodka earlier, so I am currently drinking water. But I
Ooh.
also have a little bit of these for later.
Oh,
We'll see.
send one my way.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll see.
Well, this
Cheers.
has 2 carbs, less than 1% juice, and is 5% ABV. Shall we crack?
Cracker.
Let's crank it.
Here we go.
Ooh.
Wow.
That was like
Mama.
a commercial crack.
It was.
Yeah, it was a
I think the pause halfway through helps get the
John,
snap.
isolate that crack and let's reuse it.
Isolate this crack, bitch.
Cheers,
I don't know.
psychos.
I love you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Raise your glasses of milk and Mountain Dew to West Virginia.
Ugh.
Actually, while Lucy does her segment, I'm going to look up what the fuck Appalachian cocktail Zach had us drinking a couple years ago when we first moved here. He was so excited, and it involved Mountain Dew, and it was nasty. I'm
It
going to
was like
figure it
a
out.
mixed drink with Mountain Dew.
Yeah. And it was like an Appalachian special.
I used to drink 3 Olives Mountain Dew flavored vodka with soda water because it just tasted like Mountain Dew.
You and I had that. We had a
at your white trash party.
Yeah, I don't think we could say white trash though. Can we?
White people are not oppressed, so we can say white trash.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
we
think
had
you're
a,
supposed to, but whatever. Yeah.
we did have a white trash party at my former apartment.
Yeah.
And it was Mountain Dew flavored vodka
Yeah.
with like 7-Up.
Yeah.
And we were drunk for like 72 hours straight.
Do the do.
We went to Target.
We did go to Target.
Perfect. On theme. No, I'm kidding.
Great time
I
to
love
run
Target.
errands. I also
Okay.
I love Target.
Okay,
I love
Lucy,
Target.
what's our background and maybe psych for West Virginia crimes?
No psych. That means I gotta get my snake. My snake ribs out.
Oh, my fave.
The thing fell off again.
Oh
That
my
happened.
God.
I
I heard the pop,
I
but
gotta glue it.
I wasn't looking at your screen.
But we will get back to the snakes, actually.
Oh, God.
West Virginia, aka the Mountain State, is the 35th state, founded in 1863. The capital is Charleston, not to be confused with Charlotte or Charleston, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? Why do all of these states have the same fucking capital? Like, be
Charleston.
creative.
Well, the English, probably.
I mean, we'll
You said it
kind
was
of
founded
get
in
into it a little
colonialism.
bit, but like
You said it was founded in 1863, you said?
1863, yeah.
But the city of Charleston
that's when it was-
predated.
What?
West Virginia officially became a state only 54 years before Helen was born.
Yeah, during the Civil War.
Yeah, your grandma's fucking old, and now she's dead.
Was.
Now she's dead.
She gone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The 1860s.
if we need another reminder that the United States is not that old,
Right.
like,
Look no further than my grandma.
good Lord.
Yeah.
So the state bird is a cardinal, and Corey would be really pleased because his
loves
favorite, but he
cardinals.
loves cardinals.
Loves them.
It has nothing to do with like like all your dead loved ones come back as cardinals. It's like no, he just really likes cardinals.
They're fucking cool.
They're red.
There are
They
a ton
are
of
red.
them in Louisville, and
Oh, yeah.
the local teams or whatever, the U of L teams are the Cardinals.
There you
He
go.
loves cardinals.
Loves a
he
good
should
cardinal.
come visit.
I love it. I love it. So their state, West Virginia state flower is the rhododendron. And it's the country's third most forested state. So it's got a lot of trees.
Yeah, during my research, I read that 78% of the state is forested,
Yeah. Like
which is
most
wild.
of it. Yeah. Like I think Maine probably tops that, but we talked about Maine, and Maine is insane.
Yeah.
My home state.
Yeah.
Yeah, your home state.
I love that story. You're so insane. I love it.
She's in Maine.
You're so in Maine.
You can take the girl out of Maine, but not the Maine out of the girl. Whatever.
Oh my God.
You
Jesus
can take the
Christ.
girl to Maine one time and she'll tell you she's from
gotten-
there.
Like 3 hours of sleep in 3 days. It's fine.
West Virginia is also famous for its salt, so wild buffalo and deer gathered to lick natural salt deposits, and Native Americans and colonists gathered the salt to cure butter and preserve meats. And today, salt deposits are still mined for rock salt, which is then used to create chemicals such as chlorine. So West Virginia fuels our pools.
Wow. Okay. And hot tubs.
Yeah.
I found out what the cocktail was that Zach made.
What
Oh,
was
God.
it?
It is called the Hillbilly Margarita.
Love. Tequila and Mountain Dew?
Tequila and Diet Mountain Dew. Regular Mountain Dew is apparently too sweet. Margarita salt is optional. And you also just need it in a tall glass of ice, in parentheses, this is not meant to be a pretty drink.
I love it. That actually
That sounds atrocious.
really good.
I'm
Oh.
gonna include
Atrocious.
the photo and a photo of the recipe.
I'm going to make one of those for my holiday beverage this year.
No, I don't like it.
Do not recommend.
Well, you're not coming over for my holiday, so you don't have to like it.
Ew.
Ew, look at
it.
I'm putting these in Lucy's photo folder.
No.
Lucy's being assaulted by Kenyon's photos.
There you go.
It's
Done.
disgusting. Ew, she did it. God. All right. As almost always, I have to discuss the state flag.
Yeah.
Because
This is our
I didn't
Safe
do
Flag
it.
podcast.
I didn't do it once and I got harangued.
Yeah, no, you honestly, even if we're not doing a state episode, I think you should just pick a flag
Lucy's flag
It's a
segment.
random flag.
All right, let's see this bad boy. Oh, a lot going on.
So the West Virginia state
no.
flag presently consists of a pure white field bordered by a blue stripe, which is supposed to represent like the Union, with the coat of arms of West Virginia in the center, wreathed by rhododendron. Maximum, as we've discussed, is the state flower.
Mhm.
It also just looks like a Christmas wreath, like with holly.
It does.
Like it
Pretty.
seemed really seasonal.
Can I guess what the Latin means?
Sure.
The free mountain town.
Mountains always free.
You're really close, but you're not there.
Forever free.
Nope. Just let me get to it. My God.
Oh, fine.
Literally don't have that in me.
You are very, very close. Okay.
Okay.
Are we going to cover the red hat on the ground?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Topped by an unfurled red ribbon reading, quote, State of West Virginia. It is the only state flag to bear crossing rifles, which are meant to illustrate the importance of the state's fight for liberty during the Civil War as the Southern Unionist state, one of the Southern Unionist states, which means they're technically below the
Mason-Dixon
line, but they're just anti-secession.
Yes. And that's why they were created, was to like even out the map, basically.
Got it.
Kind of. We'll sort of get to like Civil War sort of shit because it was really messy.
Mm-hmm.
Across the bottom of the state flag is a tied red ribbon with the state's Latin motto, Montani Semper Liberi, which means mountaineers are always free.
Oh.
So you
okay.
were really fucking close.
Yeah.
But mountaineers, like as a noun,
Got
are
it.
always free. In front of the boulder lie two crossed hunting rifles and a Frisian cap.
A little
AKA
red elf hat.
It's called a cap of liberty. And also, okay, so I was talking to my friend Ben about this earlier. And the first state flag we looked at, the cap was pink. And he was like, oh, there's pink slime oozing from where the guns are crossing each other. And I'm like, what? This is going to be the best state flag ever.
Coming out of
No.
those rifles.
No. No.
But I think
No.
in most iterations, it's red. Some of them were orange. I guess at least one was pink. But it's supposed to be this little triangular cap of liberty.
Yeah, it looks like Ebenezer Scrooge's nightcap.
Yes.
Like sleeping cap.
Ghost of
Yeah,
Christmas
so-
Past.
So
It's cute.
it has some history in like Eastern European people
Tradition
who fight
or-
each other. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be like the libertarian hat,
Ooh.
essentially.
Okay,
Not like
I like it
libertarian, but like
slightly less now.
okay, libertarian means something different to us than it does in like 1700s Eastern Europe.
I
But
know, but still, it's too scary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they came
but
to
it's the-
signify freedom and the pursuit of liberty in the American Revolution and the French Revolution.
yeah, it's just it's people who will bring a signifier of liberation, essentially. Are these like red stocking caps?
Mm-hmm.
So also on the flag are two men, which represent a farmer and a miner, and they stand on either side of the boulder and represent an agriculture and industry. The farmer stands on the left with an axe and a plow before a corn stalk and a sheaf of wheat.
Ooh.
And the miner stands on the right with a pickaxe and behind him two barrels, an anvil, and a sledgehammer. So like a lot of these like state flags, they just represent like the state's major
Industry.
industries. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Two things that I want to bring up. One, another term for these hats is cockades.
Love that. You got me back.
I love
with
anything that
one.
has the word cock in it.
Yup,
Mhm.
sure do.
And then two, I feel like wheat is maybe the most represented like noun on state flags.
State flags, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, American state flags for sure.
Yeah.
Because it was also like one of the
Amber
only
waves of grain.
but it's one of the only survival tools that the colonists had when they got to the
Mm-hmm.
new country. You know what I mean?
Heavy quotes for those not
Yeah.
on Patreon watching this
Right.
video. Yeah.
Yeah. the what is now the United States. I feel like they've discovered a lot of ways of sustenance, and wheat and corn and things like that were some of those.
Chief among them.
Yeah, because they would have fucking died without it. So, okay, so this is from the West Virginia Public Broadcasting, quote, artifacts have led archaeologists to believe people first came to the region of West Virginia around 14,000 years ago, hunting woolly mammoths and dodging saber-toothed cats. Lucky.
Whoa.
I
Fucking
would like
cool.
to bring back woolly mammoths.
I know.
I'd like to bring back saber-toothed cats.
I'm okay with that, but woolly mammoths are amazing.
Yeah, they're
It
so
seem
cool.
less scary.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. There were also
It's
people here.
2023. Bring back woolly mammoths.
There were also people here 2,500 years ago building mounds, like, burial mounds and just like ceremonial mounds and
Cool.
things that we can recognize today as like architectural structures.
Sure.
But most of what is known outside of that revolves around tribes that lived in the region around the late 1600s. So when the white people came and started like writing shit down.
Mm-hmm.
So tribes forced to relocate in the mid 1800s. And there's a lot of speculation about that also. So, quote, the official state position of West Virginia is that there were no Indians, quote unquote, here when the white settlers arrived. No one knows why, but there weren't. And in fact, that is nonsense, end quote.
Yeah, that sounds not true.
Says Wayne Appleton with the Appalachian American Indian Association. The Shawnee had a particularly commanding presence along the Ohio River, but prevailing theory is that many tribes inhabited the area, some only seasonally, which might have
Like they didn't have any like permanent or not
Right.
many permanent settlements, but
Well,
they still were like
Yes, a lot of tribes in North America
Were nomadic.
before the Europeans came were nomadic, and they lived in certain places seasonally for like hunting and stuff like that.
Right.
So the Shawnee had a particularly commanding presence along the Ohio River, but the prevailing theory is that many tribes inhabited the area, some only seasonally for hunting, as I said. Other tribes in the area include the Iroquois, Delaware, Seneca, Mohawk, Cherokee, Manahoac, Maharan, Monocan, Nottoway, Occaneechi, Tutelo, and Saponi. And I hope I said those correctly.
to
But
name
there-
a few.
But there were a lot of tribes that either were in that area more or less permanently, but just like sort of inhabited it. But like it's on a huge river. There are a lot of animals in that area.
Yeah,
so
a lush place for resources for sure.
Yeah, there's no reason they
Exactly.
wouldn't be there. It's a great
Yep.
place to be.
So this is from Nat Geo Kids, to be specific.
On our level.
Yeah. Explain it to me like I'm 5, Nat Geo kids. Let's
Okay, here we go.
Explain it to me like you're Nat Geo kid.
go. Like I know what's about to
and
happen.
I'm the younger
but-
sibling of the sibling with the subscription.
Right.
I mean, I get it, but
I
just
get it,
so
but will you make
Yeah.
sure? I want to make sure you get it.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
So after the British arrived in the 1600s, the area that now encompasses West Virginia, Kentucky, and parts of North Carolina, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New York were all called Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia
Virginia.
was enormous.
It was large and in charge.
In 1730, Virginia's British-controlled government offered 1,000 acres free to each European family willing to move to the area that would become West Virginia. So if you've ever... What's that Tom Cruise movie?
Mission Impossible.
No, it was like the first movie that Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman did together,
Eyes
I
wide
think.
shut.
No, it was like another one. Whatever.
The one where they're on a boat. There's like a boat involved.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, this is a Tom Cruise movie. It's about like it's about like westward expansion where they were like, like I'm going to shoot off the gun and then you all run west and then whoever plants a stake gets that property. You know what I'm talking about?
Yikes. Yeah.
Spartacus.
Sure.
Sure. Whatever. Maybe Nicole Kidman wasn't in there, but Tom Cruise definitely was.
Okay.
And
Nicole Kidman, email us and tell us what movie this
Dances
is.
with Wolves.
I could just Google it. I'm not going to. But anyway, it was the same westward expansion, the same if you get there first, you get
It's
it.
yours,
Congrats.
The European colonialists will give you land that they don't rightfully own. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And if the indigenous people come after you, it's your fucking problem.
And you are free to
Do whatever you
deal
want to
with
them.
that problem with violence.
Exactly. So as a result, Native Americans' homelands were taken and tribes began to support the French in a land war against the British, which is often called the French-Indian War from 1756 until 1763.
I have an ancestor who was a white person who fought in that war and got scalped.
Oops.
Wow.
Just saying.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck.
I mean, it was awful. It was horrifically violent. I mean,
Really, really, really violent, actually. And there are like theories that like the PTSD of people who fought in that war then contributed to the violence of the Revolutionary War.
I mean, generational trauma is a super thing. So, yeah, that makes sense. So the British won that battle. So West Virginia was still a part of Virginia during the Revolutionary War, which lasted from 1775 to 1783. But at the beginning of the Civil War, which began in 1861, West Virginia refused to secede from the Union along with the rest of the state. So West Virginia was sort of an outlier, like we talked about, or like I mentioned, they were a Southern Unionist. They were not about to go along with the secessionist movement of the South.
And I think that was because a lot of the white people that lived there were, not plantation owners or whatever. They didn't directly benefit from
that economy.
Enslavement of people.
Yeah.
And so they were like,
They had no reason to secede.
right.
I'm not going to give them the benefit of being morally they were above this. It's just that economically they wouldn't profit from that sort of arrangement.
Right.
So John Brown, ever heard of him? He was an abolitionist. He staged a famous raid on Harper's Ferry in 1859. And Harper's Ferry, by the way, at the time was part of Virginia, but the way the lines are drawn now, it's part of West Virginia.
Sure. Mountain Mama.
Mountain Mama. Brown hoped weapons gained in the raid would be used in the fight against slavery, but his raid failed, and West Virginia separated from Virginia in 1861, and 2 years later it became its own state. Like sometime during the Civil War, they became their own state. So I do want to discuss John Brown for just a quick mo. Do you guys know anything about him?
Not really.
I don't think so.
Does the name ring a bell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's also
so,
the plainest name of all
Right.
time.
well,
The name
yeah, but
John Brown.
in terms of like a tune.
Like the bell is ringing, but it's very faint.
We'll get
I know what you're getting at.
We'll get to it.
I know what you're getting at, Lucy.
So John Brown, born in May 1800, he was the leading exponent of violence in the American abolitionist movement. He believed that violence was necessary to end American slavery since decades of peaceful efforts had failed. Brown said repeatedly that in working to free the enslaved, he was following Christian ethics, including the Golden Rule, as well as the U.S. Declaration of Independence, which states that, quote, all men are created equal. He stated repeatedly that in his view, the two principles, quote, meant the same thing, which I don't disagree. In October 1859, John Brown led a raid on the Federal Armory at Harper's Ferry, Virginia, which, as I said, is today West Virginia, intending to start a slave liberation movement that would spread south. He had prepared a provisional constitution for the revised slavery-free United States that he hoped to bring about. So he was fully like, okay, here's what we
We're opening
want.
the floodgates.
Right.
We're opening the floodgates. fuck you. We're going to
Yep.
come at you with violence. And this is our plan for when we overtake you.
Right.
Like he had a full plan in place.
What year was this?
1859.
Okay.
He seized the armory, but 7 people were killed and 10 or more were injured. So 10 plus were injured. Brown intended to arm enslaved people with weapons from the armory, but only a few of those enslaved people joined his revolt. So those of Brown's men who had not fled were killed or captured by the local militia and the U.S. Marines, the latter led by Robert E. Lee. Go figure.
Yeah.
Ever heard of him?
Yeah.
John Brown was tried for treason against the Commonwealth of Virginia for the murder of 5 men and inciting a slave insurrection.
Jesus.
He was found guilty on all charges and was hanged publicly on December 2nd, 1859. He was the first person executed for treason in the history of the United States.
Wow.
That's pretty wild.
The Harper's Ferry incident and Brown's trial and subsequent execution exacerbated tensions between the North and the South, and a year later, the American Civil War really kicked off.
So really, he was not wrong about anything. It
He
did
wasn't
take
wrong.
a lot of upheaval and violence to end
Yep.
the practice of slavery in the United States.
So I guess here was what I was sort of questioning, if you've ever heard of this song. Okay, so I'm going to sing it for you. Old John's Brown, he is a mouldering in the dust. Old John's brown rifle's red with blood spots turned to rust. Old John's pike has made its last unflinching thrust. His soul is marching on. Old John's brownie lies a mouldering in the grave, while weep the sons of bondage whom he ventured all to save. But though he lost his life in struggling for the slave, his truth is marching on. He captured Harper's Ferry with his 19 men so few, and he frightened old Virginie till she trembled through and through. They hung him for a traitor, themselves a traitor crew. His truth is marching on. And there are lots of variations with this song, but that was like sort of a marching song during the American Civil War that was like honoring his devotion and sacrifice to the cause, I guess.
All right. And it's a Lucy fave because it mentions blood spots turn to rust.
It really does. I feel like you could have written this.
Yeah.
And bodies a mouldering in the
A
grave.
moldering.
Moldering. Your new favorite word.
Moldering. I'ma go a moldering. Don't mind me. I'm just a moldering.
That is why I liked it.
Taxidermy, a moldering in the garage.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Bunch
His
of old
gallstones
raccoons
rattling in a jar.
The
Bunch of
yard.
old raccoons in a jar.
No, gallstones rattling in a jar.
I said raccoons.
I said it.
Oh. This all got very confusing very fast. I can't tell you two apart, so.
Well, now I know my
cabinet of curiosities.
now I know my episode 400 song.
No!
What a callback. 2 years later.
God.
Fuck.
It'll take 2 years.
Oh, my God.
Can we just not?
Can we just skip? Can we just call next week's episode 400? Just why?
I just turned it down to a poem this year. I just can't.
Okay, your poem was
It was
fucking
amazing.
amazing. It made
Yeah.
me cry.
I know it did.
It made me weep.
I put the lyrics on the drive if you want to read them. They'll be on the blog probably at some point.
I'm gonna get drunk with my sister around Christmas time and just read it to her at her bedside.
Her bedside? Is she sick?
No.
Wear a red Frisian cap.
Yes.
While you do.
While you continue on, I'm gonna go online and see how to get a red Frisian cap. Red.
It's not Frisian.
Get a really large red sock and put it on your head.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh.
Frisian. It's Frisian with a PH.
Oh, this comes up under F.
Oh my God. Okay. I just got a little bit left here. West Virginia is bordered by Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland to the north. Maryland and Virginia in the east, Virginia and Kentucky in the south, and Kentucky and Ohio in the west. Its wiggly western border is created by the Ohio River because it does have kind of fucked up borders.
Mm-hmm.
So once the Ohio River and then its winding eastern border is created by the Appalachian Mountains.
What is Amanda up to right now? Look at her face.
Why do you look like that? What are you doing?
The fuck,
I'm sending you caps.
the fuck is with
God.
you? Oh, God.
I found them.
Oh, for
Oh
sale.
my God, she actually found revolutionary caps. Okay, just let me
If
we
we
get
ever
through
do
this.
a West
I'm
Virginia
good.
show.
I'm good. I'm over here hanging out.
Oh my God. Okay, West Virginia can be divided into two geographical regions. So we got the Appalachian Ridge and the Valley region, which includes the Appalachians and the Blue Ridge Mountains on one side. Well, on like a diagonal side.
Mm-hmm.
This region is known for its parallel ridges that were cut by streams as well as canyons called water gaps. So a lot of erosion, a lot of rocky, dynamic topography.
Well, like there's like hillsides and then there's hollers in like the middle in between the hills where people like live and where the water sources are.
Yes, but also, okay, so this area has a lot of forest caves and high peaks, and then we have the Allegheny Plateau, which spreads across the rest of the state, and there are lots of gorges in this area, which is why I said,
I meant in West Virginia. I didn't know what part.
I think in the Allegheny Plateau, it might be more of the gorges, the valleys, plus a wall of mountains that separate the state's two regions.
Okay.
West Virginia is called the Mountain State because it's the only state completely within the Appalachian Mountain region.
Oh.
And its average elevation is higher than any other state east of the Mississippi River.
Oh.
Cool.
West Virginia was originally going to be called Kanawha, but the region was instead linked to the state of Virginia, which was named after Queen Elizabeth I, who ruled England and Ireland in the late 1500s, aka the Virgin Queen, because she didn't want to put up with a man.
Uh-huh. Good for her.
Good for fucking her. And thus began
She's also like a brutal colonizer, but
Yes.
good for her for not wanting to put up with a man.
And
Yeah,
like
but
Jeff,
she-
not a virgin. But
But
yeah.
she didn't deal with a bunch of bullshit. Like I actually like her. In terms of like the English monarchy,
There were worse.
there were way worse.
Yeah, that's like picking your favorite piece of shit.
Well, right. I mean,
Pick your favorite polished.
it's not like she
turd.
had a choice, but like so thus began the Mary Queen of Scots debacle and the Church of England and the Spanish Armada and blah 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 blah. And you should definitely watch the movie Elizabeth if you haven't already because it is fascinating.
And listen to our Royal Kerfuffles episode
Yeah.
because we went down a lot of these rabbit holes.
yeah.
You are piquing my interest, and only for the sake of time am I not chiming in.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so my last little bit is about the animals that live in West Virginia
Oh,
because
God.
they have flying squirrels.
Love that.
Fucking flying
Cool.
squirrels. They got black bears. They got big-eared bats, bald eagles, grouse, barred owls, ruby-throated hummingbirds, stink pots,
Cute.
which are a type of turtle.
Oh.
Amanda, this one's for you. 5-lined skinks. Skinks. I know you love skinks.
I love skinks.
Mountain chorus frogs,
Oh
which is
my God.
adorable. I don't even know what it looks like or
I'm
sounds
Googling
like, but
it.
I'm done. I'm done. I love it.
Mountain forest frog.
Dusky salamanders and mountain earth snakes.
They just got all kinds of shit.
So many
Appalachian
reptiles.
mountain forest frog.
Chorus frogs.
Sorry, chorus
Mountain
frog.
chorus frogs.
That's what I meant. That's
Anyway,
what I meant.
that is the end of my segment. I just
They're
wanted-
not that cute, but they are cute. They're like ugly cute.
Okay.
I
Send
sent a picture.
All right. Well,
West Virginia mountain chorus
Oh.
frog.
Yeah, they're
Take
very
me
plain
out.
looking.
Yeah.
They kind of have like a snake skin boot look to them.
I wonder if they sound, but they look like if when you see like an autopsy of someone who smoked their whole lives and their lungs, like their black spotted lungs. That's what
I'm
this
looking
frog looks like.
Okay.
The black-spotted West Virginia lung frog.
Melanoma lung frog.
Right.
Oh, I found a video of the sound they make. So on the break, you can listen to it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the break because we need to listen to some mountain chorus frogs. And you need to listen to some sponsors. And then we'll be back.
We'll be right back. Putting yourself first in this brand new year that we have doesn't have to be a challenge thanks to Talkspace. Using Talkspace feels a little like having a little homunculus mental health professional in your pocket. Just right there. It's so convenient.
Anytime you need them, right there.
Yeah. Talkspace offers therapy and psychiatry, and being able to reach out to my provider anytime, anywhere, millennial approved, makes taking care of my mental health super easy. So whether I'm working or managing everyday tasks, taking care of my own mental health has never been easier. Working through things in therapy can be a little rough, especially if you're not used to it, but connecting with my therapist is not. Plus, you can get help with or without insurance. Most insured members pay only $25 in their copay or less.
We wholeheartedly recommend Talkspace for therapy. You can sign up online and get a personalized match with a provider that is right for you, typically within just 48 hours. You can text, video, or send voice messages to your licensed therapist, so it's incredibly convenient to have virtual sessions from the comfort of your home. I love this aspect about Talkspace because the biggest barrier for me getting therapy before Talkspace was like picking a time in my hectic, chaotic schedule that always changes and putting on pants and brushing my teeth and like commuting to a therapist's office and then having to like sit in my car drying the mascara that has run down my face after that session before I'm able to like safely drive home. And nobody wants that. We're past that. We want to just, from the comfort of our couch, text all of our thoughts and feelings to a licensed professional and get help back. So, Talkspace, baby.
It's 2023. It's a new time. And I work through things in my head like in the middle of the night, which is not conducive to face-to-face therapy. So as a listener of this podcast, you'll get $100 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/gals. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/gals to get $100 off your first month and show your support for this show. One more time, that's Talkspace.com/gals, and treat your brain.
Treat it. If your New Year's goals are to manage your budget better and save money, then, honey, you need Rocket Money.
Yeah, Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forget about. Hi, me.
Yep.
Like that streaming service you bought just to watch that one show that one time, or that free trial that like you never even used and completely forgot about.
Or like those apps on your phone that you use like one time and now they're just like hiding in some folder on your phone that you forget about.
Yeah, it's a huge money suck and you're like not even aware of it. So Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones that you don't want / that you're unaware you even have. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as a click of a button. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. They take care of everything. So no more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth or like remembering that password that you just made up on the spot for that free trial.
Or searching for like the teensiest, tiniest font at the bottom of like an email where you can click here to unsubscribe. Like, no, we're done with that.
New year, new money saving techniques. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving on average up to $720 per year. Hi.
Wow.
Who doesn't need that?
Yeah.
So Rocket Money helped me find a subscription for a streaming service that when I signed up, it was only like $4.99 a month. And then without me even realizing it, just shot up to like $35 a month.
What?
Yeah.
No.
So I didn't even know that it went up. That it went up after the first however many 90 days or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
I broke up with that subscription, and thanks to Rocket Money, I would not have even known how much I was paying.
$35 is a lot of dollars per month.
A lot of dollars.
Amazing. So stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/gals, GALS. That's rocketmoney.com/gals, rocketmoney.com/gals, and treat your budget.
Try it out.
All right. I just want to note that we made it all the way through Lucy's segment without mentioning meth.
Or Deliverance.
Purposefully.
Oh, okay. I'm
There
proud of us.
are many beautiful things about West Virginia.
I'm saying.
Meth Virginia.
I also didn't mention John Denver, so.
But you did mention John Brown.
Sure did. Sure did.
After the episode, I'm going to tell you guys a story. Okay. So,
Speaking of meth and John Denver. Can't share this on air.
okay. My case. So, this case takes place in the tiny unincorporated community of Five Forks.
Oh, I hate an unincorporated community.
It's always a little creepy.
a little creepy.
In Calhoun County, West Virginia. I'm
Great.
assuming that's named after Henry Calhoun. I think he's the guy I'm thinking of. Anyway.
Okay.
Some colonizer.
Yeah. Located about 7 miles north of the closest town of Grantsville. On the evening of January 5th, 1963, a man named Henry Welch received a phone call from his neighbor, Delfred Wilson.
Delfred.
Changing my name.
Delfred.
Dilfred Jacobson. It's very Handmaid's Tale.
It is.
Oh. It's-
Handmaid's Tale, but like in a Spanish-speaking country.
Amiga Delfred.
Delfred. Instead of Alfred.
Un handmaid Delfred.
Delfred. Lord.
Right?
You're not wrong.
I know.
Delfred. Okay.
Delfred.
So Delfred worked as a night watchman at a rubber factory,
Oh, sorry.
but he was
Rubber like the material, not like
Hi,
condoms.
my name is John, and I work in a rubber factory.
Great.
One day my boss said, "Hey, John, are you busy?" I said, "No."
I said no. What the fuck? Hi, my name is Joe. I'm looking up that whole thing. Hi, my name is Joe.
Why don't you
It don't
press
work.
the button with your left hand? Hi, my name is Joe.
Okay.
Oh, it's button factory,
And I
not
work
rubber.
in a button factory.
factory.
And one day, my boss came up to me and says, Joe. I said, yo. He says, you busy? I said, no. Can you push this button with your right hand?
Okay, and the gist
Ah,
is one day the
my
boss
name's Joe.
comes and says, "Are you busy?" And I says, "Yes."
And I work.
Anyway,
In
let's
a
move
button
on.
factory.
I don't know.
And one day,
What?
my boss came up to me. He says, hey,
Can
Joe,
you has no
are you busy?
idea
I
what
said,
we're
no.
talking
Can
Is
you
it
about?
one of
push
those like
this button with your left hand?
It's one of those school
girl?
bus things.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I
Ah.
thought.
It's a school
My name
bus
is
thing.
Joe.
Let's both try to cut off Amanda as soon as possible.
Okay.
All right.
So Delfred.
Thought about that rhyme in 32 years.
I heard rubber factory and it just
And I work in a rubber factory.
okay. One day my boss said, "Hey, Joe."
Well, one day Delfred was concerned
Delfred.
about his wife
Hey,
Irene.
Delfred.
Oh, wow.
because she was not answering the phone.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
She
So-
was not answering the phone.
The phone.
Can you answer the phone with your right hand?
Okay. All right. We need to get ourselves together. Okay.
Literally never. I refuse.
Look at Michelle. Okay.
So stupid.
So fucking dumb. I don't
So
know why anyone listens to this.
Irene is not answering the phone. Delfred is on his night shift as the watchman at the rubber factory.
Not
Rubber
condoms, not
factory.
buttons. Got it.
Their 3 children were already grown and had moved out. So,
They're adult sons.
yep, daughters, but yes. And Irene was
And their
left
sons
alone.
were, hey, grown.
Irene was left alone on nights when her husband worked at the
When her
rubber
husband
factory.
wasn't
Rubber
home.
factory.
Quit. I think I really quit.
This is what did it. Are you quitting? I said no. Now continue your case with your left hand.
Oh my fucking God.
Why are we like this?
It's so stupid.
Oh.
Hey.
And I'm the only neurodivergent one at this table.
Yeah, right.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I certainly do not think so, ladies.
And then Amanda, I
I've
said, hey,
never-
no. Are you the only one? I said, no.
I said no.
Pass the Zoloft with your left hand. Okay. So, oh, my boobs are sweating. Okay.
No, you're just lactating.
Yeah, that
It's not
too.
sweat, it's
That
milk.
too. That too. Okay.
It's milk.
It's the drink of West Virginia.
Oh
milk.
my God. You are the West Virginia mountain mama. Milky mama.
Milky mama.
Okay.
All
So he's working. Their kids are out of the house. Irene is home alone. He's worried. He calls. She doesn't answer the phone. They had a ritual where he would call to check in at 9 p.m. And it was extremely unlike her to not answer that phone call. So Delfred is worried. He calls his friend Henry Welch. Remember, that's how we started at the top.
Yes.
Right.
So
When McGrath
Welch,
said, hey, Welch.
Can you check on my wife with your right hand? With your left eye.
Someone's going to die. I'm
forgot which eye
so
was my left.
sorry.
I do that all the time. Okay.
Can you check my wife with your left eye?
Okay. Welch didn't think that this was really a matter for alarm. He thought that Irene probably just missed the call. But he decided to send his 2 teenage stepdaughters, 15-year-old Diane Cochran and 14-year-old Juanita Cochran, to go check on Irene instead of going himself. So he was like, hey, girls, go check on, Irene and whatever. So the 2 girls made their way to the Wilsons' remote backwoods property on Broomstick Road.
Oh my God.
Ew.
I thought you were going to say that they traveled by broomstick.
Fucking ew.
They made their way on broomstick.
Well, this is like 9:30 p.m. now at this time, and these like 2 teenage girls are like walking in the dark on this rural road, Broomstick
on
Road.
Road in
No.
West Virginia.
Fucking no.
Could you paint a more murderous picture
Yeah.
than that?
Well,
God.
I'm about to because
Of course.
when they arrived at the house, they found the front door open, but a plate glass storm door behind it closed,
Oh,
which is odd.
that is
Oh,
odd.
what? Ew.
The sisters peeked through the glass door into the dining room and were met with the shocking sight of Irene's body lying on the dining room floor.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Oh, honey.
It was immediately obvious that this was not a death of natural causes. Her body had been mutilated almost beyond recognition. Diane and Juanita, these 2 poor teen girls, didn't enter the house, but immediately ran to the home of another neighbor, like the nearest neighbor, to call the police. It would eventually be determined that Irene had been stabbed 52 times.
Oh my God.
Oh my, yeah.
I'm
That's a
assuming
lot.
Pecan Sandyism.
that's a lot.
Pecan Sandyism.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Picantism or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Pecan Sandyism.
Mm-hmm.
Incidentally, or maybe not, but probably once for each year of her life. So she was 52 years old and she was stabbed 52 times. It's probably a complete coincidence, but
Oh, that gave me chills.
yeah.
Well, what if it wasn't, though?
I mean, it'd be hard to like count unless you were
Yeah.
stabbing someone post
1,
mortem.
2,
Very
3, 4,
intentionally.
5,
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I
Okay,
mean, that's a lot.
okay.
It's a lot. Is
It's
my
just
point.
hard to even count to 52.
I couldn't. Gun to my head, couldn't
I
do
tried.
It's
it. Lucy tried, only got to 10.
with my attention span. Okay. So
Okay. I love when Kenyon
I'm saying it's hard.
it. Okay.
Okay.
So a butcher's knife was removed from the house to be examined as a potential murder weapon. It's unclear, at least in the press, like what the results of that examination were. It could be that it was the murder weapon and they just haven't released that information to the public, or it could be that it was found to be unrelated, or the results were inconclusive. I don't know. It's in the police file, which has been not
sealed for years.
I don't know if it's been sealed, but it's not been released. In addition to the stab wounds, there was also evidence that she had been brutally beaten as well as burned.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
God.
There is so much anger and
Rage.
hatred and rage in this.
Mm-hmm.
So statements made by police implied that they believe the killer may have made attempts to burn the body in order to dispose of it. But as we know, that's like
Doesn't work.
not easy to do.
Yeah, good luck.
A local newspaper reported Irene's body as being in, quote, deplorable condition. Calhoun County residents were shocked and bewildered that someone could have murdered Irene in such a brutal manner. She was well liked in town. Many knew her because of her years working at 2 local general stores. She worked at the Ben Franklin 5 and 10.
Oh, geez.
And-
Five and dime.
Yep.
Ben Franklin's are no more, by the way.
Oh, R.I.P.
And also Fetty's store.
Okay.
I don't have an update on the Fetty store.
Yeah, TBD. Most people considered her friendly, plain, and unassuming.
Okay, rude, but
Yeah.
I get what they're saying.
Yeah.
But can we fucking...
Yeah, step it up a little bit.
Can we
Ouch.
not?
Yeah.
You mean her smile didn't light up a room?
Yeah, because she at
Rude.
least light up a room.
For
Yeah.
God's sakes, this poor woman.
They other people with better manners said that she was nice, hardworking, and a devoutly Christian mom.
Okay.
Certainly,
Good Christian woman.
yep, certainly not anyone that would inspire the level of rage exhibited in her murder.
Sure, she doesn't have, like, known enemies.
Yeah, she's not like involved in any kind of like seedy shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
She's just a ma'am.
she's just a ma'am. Also, it's the 60s, so I feel like West Virginia was like economically doing a lot better than it is now back then. You know,
Good point.
yeah. So police ruled out robbery as a motive as well. There was no sign of forced entry, and money was left out in plain sight in the house.
Mm-hmm.
There was also no evidence of rape or attempted rape.
Okay.
Following an autopsy, her official cause of death was listed as, quote, numerous lacerations that had perforated her left lung and aorta, resulting in hemorrhage.
Jesus.
Ouch.
Her time of death was determined to have been between 5:30 and 6 p.m., which was when she would have just returned home from her shift at Fetty's store. And she was obviously had begun like cooking some dinner, cooking like some vegetables.
So I wonder if someone was waiting for her or if it was someone who knew her routine or maybe got to know her routine.
Either she let
Or
somebody in,
like a neighbor who
There it is.
knew
Okay.
when, yeah.
or somebody was waiting for her, or fucking luck of the draw.
Yeah, true.
You know, like it's not like 5:30 and 6 p.m. is a
Super
Weird
inopportune
hour.
Yeah.
time to be home.
yeah. You kind of expect people to be home around then if
True.
they, you know.
Yeah.
So the Cochran sisters had been sent to check on her and discovered her body, like we said, around 9:30 p.m. So she'd been there for a few hours. Nearby neighbors reported that they had not seen any cars drive up Broomstick Road that evening, and they most likely would have noticed. I know, I can't get over Broomstick Road.
I
can't-
want to live on
I know, I
Broomstick
cannot
Road.
get over it. So this was a really rural car. Not that many people lived on that car or on that road, and so it was rarely used. And if a car had driven down it, they probably would have attracted someone's attention.
Mhm.
The Cochran sisters would later say that they believed they'd seen a light by the Wilsons' barn as they approached the house, though.
Like a flashlight?
They just say a light.
Or like car lights or something.
They didn't say car
maybe.
light. They just, maybe, I'm guessing flashlight.
Yeah, by a barn.
Or maybe a lighter. Because they had tried to burn the body.
Oh, okay. Some kind of light.
Okay. But we can assume it's not a car light, like headlights.
I feel like they would have said headlights if it had been headlights.
Yep.
Many Calhoun County residents believe that Delfrid had killed Irene just because the husband did it.
Classic Offred.
And also his kind of reputation around town. So some neighbors and acquaintances of Delfrid Wilson reported that he had a terrible temper.
Oh, shit.
And lashed out in rage at many members of the community over the years over like various squabbles.
Oh, he was the town asshole.
Yeah, pretty much. One neighbor later recalled, quote, he had a strange slant on life and liked to threaten and fight with his neighbors, end quote.
Okay.
Great.
Cool. Charming.
Yeah. Charmed, I'm sure.
Charmed, I'm sure.
However, Delfrid appeared to have an airtight alibi. So the hours of his night watchman shift spanned the window in which investigators had determined Irene's murder occurred. Now, I don't know if that means that he had colleagues that saw him.
Had eyes on him.
Yeah, during his whole shift.
Yeah, because what if he scurried home?
Right.
What if? Right?
How do we know?
Just saying, especially if you're a night watchman, if you're working alone.
Go home for lunch in the middle of the night.
Right?
Shh.
You know?
But no car drove down the road.
Yeah, but you could have parked up the road.
Could have parked up the road. I don't know. Maybe his alibi really was airtight and like somebody was working with him the whole time and he really was not there. I don't know.
Maybe.
Worth looking into. But belief that Delfrid was the killer was far from unanimous, and rumors swirled about many other possible suspects in town. Police reportedly questioned numerous local people about the murder, and it was a widely discussed topic in Calhoun County, like who might be on the suspect list, of course.
Yeah, who done it? This is the town gossip.
Right.
Let's go. Yeah.
Also, not a big town.
No.
So someone
this is the
has to know
Haddis who
something.
was-
Yeah.
True.
So one frequently mentioned suspect was a local man who suffered from schizophrenia and who, according to a local newspaper, quote, excised his penis and flushed it down a commode at the Nycut Hill bar.
Sir? What? You good? No.
Excised his penis. He cut off his own penis.
At a bar.
At a bar.
And flushed it down the toilet.
Listen, I have had some weird nights at the bar, but that's a bit much.
Yes. So obviously he was like this local guy with intense mental health issues.
Is that a scene from Empire Records? Or am I thinking of something
With
else?
a penis? She cuts her wrists and that.
No, there's another movie around the same time where he cuts off his penis.
I don't
in the
think
bathroom.
that's in Empire Records,
not it.
but
I'll
Yeah,
Google
that's
it.
A
but
little too intense for Empire
too tired.
Records.
yeah, it's not Empire Records. Now that I think about it, it's super not Empire Records.
No. Are you thinking of the song Detachable Penis that we listened to
I'll
a
Google
lot
it.
in
But
middle
he
school?
we did listen to that song.
Along with the movie The Piano, which my mom made me watch at an early age, there was another movie that she rented from Mr. Movies, and he was said, I cut off my penis. And that was a formative part of my childhood. Anyway,
Okay.
I'm gonna Google it.
Oh my God. Please join Patreon so we can pay for Lucy's therapy. That's all I'm going to say.
Cut off penis.
Okay, I'm moving on. But anyway,
Okay.
this man who I'm not saying his name, but he had intense mental health struggles, and this was known in the community. And so, of course, he's going to come under
Everyone's
suspicion.
just going to point at him.
But as far as I know, there's been no actual evidence linking him to the crime, and he was probably just targeted because he was schizophrenic. On January 17th, when still no clear suspect had emerged, authorities offered a $500 reward for any information leading to the arrest of the person responsible. No one came forward, but the fear and tension in the community continued to mount. Residents were extra careful about keeping doors locked and guns loaded. One former neighbor of the Wilsons, who was 13 years old at the time of the murder, later stated in an interview, quote, "Everyone was so scared. My mom laid down the law to daddy and we moved out to Five Forks," which was farther away from the murder site. "Still to this day, 40 years later, I get chills thinking about it." So like a neighbor family fully moved
away
because the mom was like not comfortable being there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So Irene and Delfrid's children have made very few comments to the press, but they have indicated that they do not believe their father to have been responsible for their mother's death.
Okay.
Another relative of Irene Wilson, who is unnamed in the news coverage, also insisted that Delfrid was innocent and made reference to her killer likely being a man who lived on nearby Pleasant Hill.
Don't like the name Pleasant Hill. That's creepy. Okay.
It's a Pleasant Hill in Des Moines.
Who was considered to be a model citizen. So I don't know why this relative of Irene's, like,
so convinced.
fingered him for the crime.
Hot.
Ew.
Freddie got fingered him.
I couldn't find out more information. I wanted to find out who this supposed suspect was.
Fingerer is.
Who is the fingerer?
Who was fingered?
Who fingered the fingerer?
Couldn't find out. At this point, it is unlikely that Irene's murder will ever be solved, but it remains the subject of whispers and rumors in Calhoun County to this day.
All right.
Oh, shit.
It's just this weird blip.
Huh.
God. I
That
can't
is
believe
so
it's not been
weird.
solved. I mean, given the size of the community.
Well, if it was some rando
Yeah.
who was just passing through, and this is the 60s, without the kind of forensic capabilities that we have now,
there's
it was
no way
so
they saved things that could later be tested.
Back in the fucking days, we could just hop on a train and then you just don't exist because
Yeah.
you could just, everything's on paper. You can just give someone a fake name and there you go.
Yeah, it could have just been a vagrant or a...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just weird that there's, like, literally no motive and then so much rage.
Yeah, it's really wild.
And I think it's telling that the kids don't think it was their dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like,
I mean, yes, but what kid, unless under very brutal,
right.
like abusive circumstances, would ever believe
I
that
don't
their
know.
parent was
I think
capable of that?
I think that's kind of interesting to think about, like, children of murderers, like how much, or not even children, but just like family members, friends, whoever, like how much do they really suspect? Because the typical anecdote is like, oh, he's just a regular guy, he's so nice.
It's always the quiet
But
one.
then sometimes it's like, yeah, he's definitely the one who would have brutally
piece of
raped
shit.
and murdered.
Well, I just mean more like the neighbors, like people said that he had a bad temper and stuff, which I'm assuming means that he also probably had a bad temper at home with his wife and kids. That is an assumption that I'm making.
Mhm.
But the kids still don't think that he committed this murder. And again, the alibi.
Yeah, I just think that I don't know. The people.
Are you saying denial, or are you saying they probably do have suspicions that they're just not voicing?
It's not necessarily denial. It's almost more like the two types of people who commit these kinds of crimes. Like some fly so under the radar,
like
and
BTK.
some are just hiding in plain sight.
Mhm.
And like everyone knows, like, oh yeah, he's like
He's
totally
off.
kind of guy, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
Something's
I don't
off.
know. It just seems like it's just either one side or the other. It's hard to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to
Yeah.
know.
Well,
Lock
thanks
your doors.
for the unsolved case.
I
Lock your
wanted to
doors.
torture Amanda with an unsolved.
Yeah, Amanda hates it.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
it.
the fan picker kind of wanted to torture me too, so double dipping for you this
All
week.
right.
Perfect.
Should we take a quick sponsor break and then
Yeah.
get to my continued torture?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Care of is a subscription service that ships high quality, personalized vitamins, supplements, and powders conveniently to your door every month. In 2023, instead of a long list of resolutions that just overwhelm you, try focusing instead on a few key things that will allow you to feel more balanced, confident, and maybe even energetic
And Care of helps you get into that routine with products and digital tools that will help you feel better than ever. I love their in-depth online quiz. We love a good quiz.
It's a cute quiz.
It's a cute quiz. It asks about your lifestyle and health goals. We know that this time of year, a lot of us are making new health goals. And it gets back to you with personalized, doctor-backed recommendations. And it takes the guesswork out of what supplements are best suited for you. I try to take the Care of quiz every year, take it afresh, because, my life and my lifestyle changes. I want to stay up to date. I love my vitamin and supplement lifestyle.
You really do.
So I am big on the biotin train these days, trying to address that postpartum, hormonal changes.
Well, your hair and your nails will thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And they already have. So thank you, Care of. You're the best. And they have daily vitamin packs. These are great for on-the-go moments. If you're rushing around, you just pop them in your bag and then take them when you have a minute. And the packs themselves are made of plant-based compostable film. So you can stress less about your impact on the environment. It's not a bunch of plastic.
Oh, what could be better? So for 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code GALS50, GALS50. One more time, for 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code GALS50 and treat your health.
Treat it. There is no one quick fix for anxiety and depression, unfortunately. So some things might help, but they're not going to be the panacea. So regular meditation, a better diet. If you haven't figured it out yet, life, healing, and becoming a better version of yourself is a process, okay? It doesn't stop. You don't just magically arrive one day and you're like, wow, I'm enlightened. I've reached the pinnacle of me.
I'm here. I'm the best.
Sadly, that doesn't happen. Or if it has happened,
good on you.
You maybe need to address some choices you've made. But sometimes you just need something that will help unlock your brain, get you started on that process, get you, to have a new way of thinking about and seeing the world. And maybe for you, that thing is guided ketamine therapy from Mind Bloom. In fact, Dan, a sales engineer and real Mind Bloom customer and believer, says, quote, Mind Bloom has helped me take back control of my life. I feel free.
Mind Bloom is the leader in at-home ketamine therapy for people looking for a new way to treat their anxiety and depression. They combine science-backed medicine with a guided treatment plan that is both affordable and fast-acting. To begin, take Mind Bloom's online assessment and schedule a video consult with a licensed psychiatric clinician. If approved, you'll work with Mind Bloom on your specific treatment plan, and you'll be mailed a customized kit complete with medicine, a journal, and treatment materials. After only 2 sessions, 87% of Mind Bloom clients reported improvements in depression, and 85% reported improvements in anxiety. It's time to enter your next chapter in mental health and well-being. Achieve transformational outcomes with Mind Bloom.
And right now, Mind Bloom is offering our listeners $100 off your first 6-session program when you sign up at mindbloom.com/gals, GALS, and use promo code GALS at checkout. Go to mindbloom.com/gals, promo code GALS for $100 off your first 6-session program today. That's mindbloom.com/gals, promo code GALS, and treat your mind.
Treat it.
Alrighty, you ready for my case?
Yo.
Well, good, because it's rough. You fucking fan pickers are brutal.
They usually are, yeah.
Yeah, it's your fault. So for this case, we got to hop into the way, way back machine and travel to West Virginia University in 1970. It was January 18th when friends and freshman classmates, I don't think they were roommates, but they did live in the same dorm building, Marid Malaric and Karen Farrell, ventured into downtown Morgantown, West Virginia. They went to see the film Oliver at the Metropolitan Theater.
Cuties.
Cute.
I know, how cute.
How
From what I
genuine.
understood-
How pure.
So pure. From what I understood, they took public transportation to get to the show, but afterward, the bus was not running as frequently. So, in like true 70s fashion, they hitchhiked home.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were seen getting into a cream-colored sedan a couple blocks away from the theater. They were seen entering this vehicle by two classmates who had seen them at intermission. There used to be like intermissions at movies.
There still are in France
And so-
sometimes.
Yeah, so you can go pee and get your snacks.
And in Charles City, Iowa.
Cute. So they saw them at intermission. They all bumped into each other, and then they sat with them for the remainder of the movie. They had wanted to stay out longer, these friends that bumped into them, but Marit and Karen wanted to get back to campus. When they didn't make it back and hadn't been heard from for a few hours, they were reported missing to the local police. But the police didn't take the girls' disappearance very seriously at first, or like kind of at all the whole time.
Shocking.
Yeah. Assuming that they had left of their own accord, I mean, the girls are 18, 19 years old, despite the fact that the girls' friends and family insisted that neither Marid nor Karen were the type of people to just up and leave without letting anybody else know. They were
I'm
like, this is
surprised that like people reported them missing after just a
quickly.
few hours. Yeah, exactly.
Being
Yeah.
college students who like live on their own, presumably. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's like
Late at night and not like
late
them.
at night,
And
not like them. They're not party animals. It's, you know,
Yeah.
they told their friends we're going back to campus, and then
Didn't.
maybe their friends got back and they never made it, and they were like, what the fuck? Where are they?
right.
And, you know, there aren't cell phones. So I feel like maybe in a day before we had our own methods for trying to locate people without police involvement, it might have been a little bit more common to report things like this sooner
just
to get
to like
more
have
resources.
a cop like get in the car and kind of drive
And
around,
drive around
take
and
a
look.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because like these are college kids who might not have cars. Like,
maybe
you know,
yeah, maybe they're walking, maybe they broke an ankle, like whatever.
exactly.
Well,
so I
also,
could see
were these girls white too?
Karen most certainly was white. Marid is like white presenting in photographs, but I'm not certain if she was white, but she looks white.
I feel like in the 70s,
Yeah.
that would be a differentiating factor.
Oh, for sure. It would be now.
Yes.
So they're reported missing. 2 months pass without a word from the girls.
Oh my God.
Not a single clue as to where they are. And then in March, a kid picking up soda bottles around US Highway 119 found a purse in a ditch about 50 feet off the road.
Oh god.
The contents of the bag confirmed it belonged to Marid. Despite this bit of evidence, police still were not convinced of foul play.
What the fuck?
But this became undeniable when on April 8th, 1970, West Virginia State Police received an anonymous letter postmarked from Cumberland, Maryland, containing information about the women's disappearance. The letter was signed with only a little drawing of a triangle.
Oh, I don't like that.
I know. This is like a fucking
God.
creepy
Zodiac
image.
shit.
It's very Zodiac. It's very creepy. The letter was dated April 6th, 1970, and read, "Gentlemen, I have some information on the whereabouts of the bodies of the 2 missing West Virginia University co-eds, Marid Malaric and Karen Farrell. Follow directions very carefully, to the nth degree, and you cannot fail to find them. Proceed 25 miles directly south from the southern line of Morgantown. This will bring you to a wooded forest land. Enter into the forest exactly 1 mile. There are the bodies. 25 plus 1 equals 26 miles total. Will reveal myself when the bodies are located. Sincerely, Triangle."
The fuck?
Yeah.
So gross.
No.
So, hoping to get some information from the community, this letter was published in the newspaper the next day. Within 24 hours of publishing the letter, another letter arrived. And it reads as such: "Gentlemen, I saw the article in this morning's newspaper concerning my previous letter on the missing 2 co-eds. If you reread my first letter carefully, you will see the directions were specific, direct south from the city, meaning the southern limit of Morgantown, West Virginia. Straight south 25 miles, you will come to a forest woodland. Enter in 1 mile south. Fanning out, you will locate the bodies of the girls covered over with brush. Look carefully. The animals are now on the move. Do trust this will help you out with exact location. Will still identify myself when bodies are located. Sincerely, Triangle.
So there's something about the shape of like the southern line and the 25 miles and then the 1 mile.
Maybe.
Or is he giving them basically the same directions in two different ways of saying it?
Yeah, he's trying to reiterate.
Repeating, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just meant like the 25 plus 1 is 26, and from the southern line of this, and then
yeah,
I don't know.
It's very geometric.
It seems specific, but it's actually quite vague, and we will get to it.
Okay.
So the public was understandably frustrated that police hadn't taken this seriously, and in response, the governor of West Virginia at the time ordered all hands on deck to search for their bodies with the information given to them in the letters. Because the letters were a little bit polarizing, where police were like, I think this is bullshit.
We're not going to waste resources on this.
They didn't want to mount a full-scale search, and the public was like, fuck that. What the fuck? And then the governor was like, just fucking do it.
If the police didn't do it, then I feel like the public would have, so.
Yep.
There would have been an uproar of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So this was a bit easier said than done, as some directions that are given in these letters are vague. There is no distinct, quote, southern line of Morgantown from which to start, and the vast majority of West Virginia, as we've covered, is heavily wooded, leaving a lot of ground to cover. So, if you say there's woods 25 miles south of Morgantown, it's like, yeah.
No shit. There's probably woods
there are.
2 miles south of Morgantown.
Literally, yes.
Surrounding Morgantown.
Right. So this search for their bodies was unsuccessful based on the information given in the letters. However, some personal items belonging to the girls were found during this search, including Marid's sunglasses and Karen's purse that contained her driver's license. These items were found scattered about 70 feet away from a stretch of that Highway 119, which told investigators that whoever dumped them here couldn't have thrown them that far from the window of a moving car and had gotten out and chosen the area to scatter the belongings.
Creepy.
But still, no bodies. The search continued, expanding far beyond the vague boundaries of the mysterious letters. And finally, on April 16th, 1970, so about almost 3 months to the day from when they were last seen, their bodies were discovered in shallow graves not 26 miles south of Morgantown, but rather about 11 miles south. Both of the girls were missing their heads.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no.
It's bad.
God.
Shortly after the bodies were found, Triangle kept their promise to send more information, but not reveal who they were. 2 more letters would arrive, one to the police and one, disgustingly, to Marid's parents.
Ugh.
This time giving information on the location of their heads.
God.
The letter to police was dated April 21st, 1970, and read, quote, "The heads can be found from the position of the bodies by striking out 10 degrees southwest for the first head."
What the fuck is this? The fucking Boy Scouts?
Yeah, seriously.
Enough.
And approximately 10 degrees southeast for the second, roughly 1 mile. You are already 7/10 of that mile. They are within the mine entrance. There's an old mine in that area. If you can call it an entrance, considering its condition.
This sounds like a bad math, like a math test.
Math
joke.
teacher. Yeah.
It's if the 2 trains are traveling at 10 degrees.
Yeah, my brain hates nothing more than
If
this
the body
shit.
is located at this location, the head is located
10
at
degrees
already
southeast.
south.
7/10 of that mile.
It's painful, and I fucking hate it.
Ooh.
They are buried not over 1 foot in depth. The ones responsible for the murders scattered some of the girls' personal effects over the general area, creating a pattern of confusion, making it difficult for you to pinpoint any exact location. My first 2 letters triggered your intensive search. Don't give up now. Sincerely, Triangle.
The fuck? So is Triangle now trying to distance themselves from whoever committed the murders?
Maybe.
Or at least trying to implicate that there are other parties.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't like you very much right now.
No, I know. I don't like me either. I get it. 1 week later, Marid's parents received a letter from Triangle, and this would be the last one sent. It read, quote, "I have sent 3 letters to the Morgantown State Police Department concerning your daughter, Marid, and Karen. The first and second were taken with some seriousness and instituted a search, which was successful in locating 2 bodies, minus the heads, which were needed for other purposes.
No!
Uh-huh. All of a sudden, the police have been complaining about an error in the mileage stated in my second letter. After one has driven in an oval pattern for 26 miles under the weather conditions of January and under the involved circumstances, it is possible to make about an 18-mile error in the precise location of the bodies. Nevertheless, they were found south of Morgantown as stated in the letter, even to that which was called a logging lane or old mine road. In my opinion, both are the same.
Who is this nut job?
We'll get to it.
Fucking gross.
It's so gross. To this day, the girls' heads have never been located.
No.
And we'll circle back to these letters in a moment, but let's go over some forensics and like what we do know.
Ugh.
Yeah, it sucks. By the time Marit and Karen's bodies were found, there had been a great deal of decomposition and animals had indeed gotten to them, which compromised some of the evidence in an already kind of archaic time of evidence collection in the first
Well,
place.
the animals are on the move now.
Because this is what year? Like 80?
1970.
Oh.
Yeah. Because of the state of decomposition, it could not be determined if the women had been sexually assaulted. The hope is that they were not, and there is not evidence to determine they were. Both bodies were even fully and neatly clothed, like including shoes, gloves, shirts tucked in, and even a pack of cigarettes tucked into the waistband of Marit's jeans, which she was known to have done herself.
Okay.
That's some staging
So those weren't
shit,
like-
though, too. Possibly.
Well, it could be.
Possibly.
It could be, but that's a pretty small detail
right.
to
that
stage.
She, like,
and
did
that's
that.
normal for her to do.
Right.
It's like you could have tucked them in the pocket, but you didn't. So, you know, it just alluded to the fact that they weren't planted there by the killer.
Right.
There were a few items of clothing missing from the girls' bodies, including Marit's fur-lined boots and Karen's fur coat, which we'll kind of circle back to the fur in a little bit.
Yeah.
Both women had also been wearing necklaces when they disappeared, and these were also missing, so possible trophies. I mean,
yeah.
they were decapitated, so...
Okay, sorry. That was horrible.
No, yeah. Their clothes were also not bloody, which is a pretty baffling detail and could suggest that they were nude when they were killed, and their clean clothes were put back on for their burial. But it's also like, it had to have been very meticulous to get everything as neat and tidy as it was when you're dressing the, like,
A body.
I don't mean
corpse of someone
I don't mean
else.
to be gross, but the reason why I balked at them not having been undressed at all is because, like, I don't know, most people who abduct and kill women like this sexually assault or mutilate them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean, they were mutilated, but...
A lot of them redress them.
Right.
And so the fact that there are cigarettes like tucked into the back pocket, my initial response was like, "Oh my God, he redressed
He
them
paid
the way he
attention.
found
yeah,
them."
he very well may have.
It's possible.
Yeah.
God.
It also cannot be determined exactly what tool was used to remove their heads, though the markings suggest a machete or a hatchet. So some like large
Hacking.
hacking tool.
And no blood, which is really weird.
Really weird, but also
They could
if
have
they were
already been dead.
if they were killed and then maybe stored or left for a little while, and then that could also be why there wasn't like a bunch of blood all over their clothes.
Right.
You know, maybe they were killed in a less messy way.
Yeah. And then later.
And then later, after blood flow is like pretty well done, staunched and coagulating, then the heads are removed for, quote, other purposes.
Yeah.
Or other purposes, including like identification.
Mm-hmm.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, dental records.
Or-
but they did identify them.
We've heard of worse reasons for heads
Yes,
to be
right,
and
removed.
I'm hoping it's not that, but God only knows. So the first place to look for a suspect would obviously be in these letters. It was assumed, understandably so, that the killer was behind these letters. A thorough investigation, including handwriting analysis, actually led police to the Psychic Science Church, a small religious cult of the 70s.
I was gonna say maybe the letter writer is a amateur psychic who was like, well, 18 miles off isn't that bad, guys, and it was south, and
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, that last letter to the parents is very much like a, well, I was right.
I was pretty close, and
Yeah.
you're welcome.
I mean, you're spot on. That's exactly what was going on here. So the cult leader, a man named Reverend
Kenny, you
Richard
free?
Warren Hoover, you're the cult leader, touted himself as a psychic and claimed the information in the letters was provided to him by a spirit during a seance. Oh, God, they're doing a seance.
A spirit?
A
A
spirit?
spirit? In reality, he'd made all of it up using bits and pieces of the case that had been revealed in the news and in the community.
Ew.
3 individuals were connected to the letters and all cleared of any actual connection to Marit or Karen. But beyond being a fucking sick hoax and unimaginable torture to poor Marit's parents and Karen's parents, but they didn't get a letter,
Unfucking
thank God.
forgivable. I don't care if you
Unforgivable.
genuinely think you're a psychic and like
No.
maybe
No.
you are.
Fuck off.
And I don't
You
care if you
tease
think
the
you're
family.
helping the
Fuck you.
don't
It's so fucked up.
fucking contact the family that is
No.
fucked up.
No, this is, like you said, completely unforgivable.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, police had been so convinced that these letters came from the killer that they had even ruled out other suspects based on handwriting analysis.
That's not okay.
Nope. And according to reports I read, many of these suspects were not followed up on even after the letters turned out to be fake.
No, that's horrible. That is when you
That's police misconduct.
Yeah.
It's complete bullshit. This
Yeah.
whole case is
It's irresponsible.
Rife.
it
At
didn't
the
take any
minimum.
handwriting
Responsibility.
to abduct and murder these 2 girls.
yep.
Women.
6 years. I mean, women, but they were
Young.
basically kids.
were
They were like
young.
18 or 19 years old.
Young women.
Yeah. So 6 years would pass with very little investment from investigators into this case when an answer seemingly fell into their lap. In 1976, a man named Eugene Paul Clausen was serving a prison sentence in New Jersey for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl.
God.
While in prison, he came forward to confess to killing Marit and Karen. Some things did fit here. He was born and raised in Morgantown, West Virginia, and so he would know the area well.
Mhm.
He was a repeat sexual offender, typically preying on young women and girls. But, like, why come forward after 6 years?
Mhm.
Well, he claimed that he was having repeat nightmares about their murders and that what he had done was haunting him. And if he was in prison anyway, he felt that he should confess, which, like, okay, fair enough. We see this happen all the time.
Yeah, maybe don't kidnap, rape, murder, and decapitate people if you
How about
don't want to
that?
have bad dreams.
But if you have a moment, of course.
Yeah. Then confess.
Yeah.
Okay, so he passed a polygraph, which we know is a polarizing tool.
Mhm.
But even if we remove the polygraph information,
Passed a polygraph meaning
that he did it.
that he was telling the truth about having done it.
Correct.
Okay.
But his confession had a lot of red flags.
Mhm.
First, it contained a bunch of incorrect information about the crimes. He said he placed the bodies side by side in their grave in the woods, but investigators found the girls stacked on top of each other.
That is, oh God,
It's
that's so
so
horrible.
fucking sad.
So fucking gross.
The girl on the bottom was face down, and the girl on the top was facing up on her back. So they were like back to back, stacked.
So they were buried.
He said they were
buried at the same time.
Yep. Yep. And they weren't even really buried. It was like there was a little bit of a ditch and then like brush put over them.
Mhm.
He also said when he picked up the girls, he had pulled out a gun and told them to sit in the back seat of his car. But the friends who had seen them get into the cream-colored sedan had not seen any weapon and clearly remembered the 2 girls sitting in the front seat, which was like one of those old 70s cars with a front middle seat, no center console.
Yeah.
Like my parents used to have a car like that.
Yeah.
So
That's
they both
just
got
one
in the front seat.
like a bench seat.
It's one bench seat in the front seat and a bench seat in the back. And the friends were like, no, they
In the
drove
front
off in the
seat.
front seat. They were not in the back seat.
I
And the
mean,
most-
maybe he meant that like
After they got out of town,
he pulled the gun and made them move to the back seat.
very possible.
Are we
I don't know.
really giving credence to this
We are,
man's-
and we'll get to it.
Okay.
Because it's actually not likely that he did it.
Okay.
Oh.
Most of the red flags, the most telling red flag was that all of the errors that he was giving in his statement were the same as a dramatized write-up on this case that had been released in a magazine called Detective Cases.
Mm,
It's kind of like True Story magazine, but for true crime.
yeah.
which it's entirely possible Eugene got his hands on while in prison and was inspired to make a confession. He also claimed that he had the girls undress, sexually assaulted them to climax multiple times for himself, and then had them get dressed again before killing them, which tracks, but they didn't, I mean, and I guess it was months later, but they didn't find any like semen or anything in these girls. And if that is the case, why were they dressed like exactly how they were last seen? So neatly, down to the cigarettes tucked in Marid's waistband. Like if they had both just been raped,
Yeah, their clothes would have been
maybe a little more disheveled,
right.
not so neatly put back on.
Right.
And why was there no blood on their clothes? Like it's a little weird if they dressed themselves and weren't redressed after being killed. And beyond that, this is like, for me, this is the biggest smoking gun. For him to claim to have climaxed several times is medically like almost impossible for him because Eugene suffered from a chromosomal abnormality called Klinefelter syndrome. And a symptom he had was severe erectile dysfunction. Like he physically could not have performed the act the way that he claimed. That
So he was essentially fantasizing.
That's what it sounds like.
And had taken these details from a magazine and then was fantasizing and building himself up,
Oh my
talking about
God.
how he was able to climax multiple times.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Because that's what he would want to have happened in his fantasy.
Oh.
Oh my God, that is so fucked up.
Yeah.
Everything
So
about this is so fucked up.
I know, fan picker. So despite all of these inaccuracies and Eugene eventually recanting his confession when everybody was like, wait, he was like, yeah, that's actually not what happened. He proceeded to trial because the cops are like, well, we've got our guy.
I hate these cops. Jesus Christ.
He was convicted of Marid and Karen's murders in 1977, but that verdict was overturned by the West Virginia Supreme Court because the prosecution was fucking shady and was found to have made false statements during trial about presented evidence. 3 years later, in 1980, Eugene went back to trial for these murders. This time he testified that he made a false confession in an attempt to be transferred away from the New Jersey prison to West Virginia because he was under the impression that if he got, like, moved because he was convicted of another crime, then he wouldn't have to continue to face the consequences of his charges for the sexual assault in New Jersey.
Oh,
This
like
is
it just
obviously-
replaced the previous
Right.
crime conviction.
This is obviously very stupid logic.
That's what happens.
Yeah, it's very stupid logic. Confessing to one crime does not erase the
Do
sentence
you
of another.
think it was for a couple reasons that, like, one, he's from West Virginia, so he wanted to be closer to family to visit him in prison
Could
in
have
West
been.
Virginia if he had anyone to do that? And
Could have been.
two, if he's in prison in New Jersey for sexually assaulting a child, maybe he's not that popular in prison. And so if he gets moved to West Virginia for murders of two technically adults,
Could be.
maybe he wouldn't be like as targeted in prison.
Maybe.
Could be both.
I mean, if that was his motive, he certainly didn't say that.
Right.
And he also, like, tested below 70 in IQ.
Yeah.
So he was, like, not...
Maybe not thinking through all of the he just
yeah.
got something in his mind and went for it.
Yep. Okay. So it was looking less and less likely that he was actually the culprit of this crime. And this was still in the before times when it comes to forensic evidence. But the jury still convicted him in this second trial, and he died in prison in 2009 while serving his sentence.
Oh my God.
Yep. But looking back on this case with a more advanced understanding of forensic evidence, many professionals believe that Eugene was not the killer.
There needs to be more awareness in the community, in the jury pool across the country of false confessions.
False confessions. There's a really good, what's it called?
Like, they're so much more common than I think we think they are for like a myriad of reasons. Like,
Hidden brain.
like, yes.
There's
like
a really good Hidden Brain episode about
police coercion, false confessions, and then also just like wackadoo false confessions.
Oh, yeah. Very common. So if
The
he wasn't the
Confession
killer
is it's on Netflix, and it's about this guy who just I think he was a murderer, but he confessed to like dozens more murders than he was actually responsible for.
Confessing for clout, confessing for like different conditions in prison, or like just because you're bored in prison.
I think it was like him and his brother or something, but he was like, oh, well, I'm already going to prison for life. I might as well confess to
rack up my literal body count.
Yeah.
Just for the, just like you said, just for the clout.
Gang members like confessing to other people's crimes for them in order for like commissary money when they're inside, or like money to their families.
It's equally as frustrating, I'm sure, for like authorities as for serial killers who will confess to like, 10 out of their 15 murders. And then keep those last 5 like for themselves.
Right.
It's kind of the same
fucked
thing.
up on both sides. Yeah. And it's both frustrating, and also some investigators benefit from false confessions.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Okay.
Clearance.
But clearance rates. But if Eugene was not the killer, who was? There were a handful of other suspects that could be responsible, and we'll go over some of those now. So one was a man named William Bernard Hacker, rightfully named, who was arrested for murdering and decapitating a man in Maryland in 1970. And remember that I guess the letters were sent from Maryland, but we know the letters weren't from the killer. But like, if the killer was in Maryland and this cult that was sending the letters was in Maryland, there could be a connection there. I don't know. So he was arrested for murdering and decapitating a man in Maryland in 1970. Now, he wasn't arrested in 1970, but that's when he killed someone.
Okay.
He had been born in West Virginia, where he spent most of his life, even working as a young child in a mine very close to where Marit and Karen were found. It's possible that he was connected to several murders and decapitations near where he lived in that area from 1921 to 1952. I literally have no idea how, but he was apparently convicted of a double murder in 1952, but was released from prison in 1966.
There were like shockingly short sentences.
Yeah.
In the 50s and 60s. I feel like I just recently covered a case like this where, it was Gaskins. It was like Pee Wee Gaskins. And he just kept going to prison for like 6 years, and then he was out.
While he had been in prison in that time, there were shockingly 0 decapitations in the area.
Oh.
And then after he got out, there was another, quote, unsolved decapitation almost immediately. Then 2 more in 1967, another in 1968, and then Marit and Karen were killed in 1970.
Okay, well, I feel like it's this guy.
Well, maybe.
Call me crazy, but
I thought that too, but there's another one that
if the decapitations like picked back up.
They did. William was arrested for the 1968 murder in late 1970, so it would be after they were kidnapped and killed. And weirdly enough, once he went back to prison, the, quote, unsolved beheadings once again stopped. Very sus. This guy is now long dead. He certainly never confessed to this or any of the other unsolved decapitations that it's likely he committed, but they just couldn't connect him to. But that's a very, very solid possibility.
Very specific MO and also locale.
Yep. Another possibility was a man named Eddie Slaughter.
Hacker or Slaughter?
Hacker or Slaughter.
No.
Pick your poison. Pick your fighter.
Don't love. No.
Lucy,
No.
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 Yeah, some names should be illegal.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Slaughter is like a very common last name.
So common.
And it's weird.
Could it
It's
be
fucking
Slafter?
weird. Slafter.
Can we call it
Eddie
Slafter?
Eddie worked as a janitor in the same dorm where Marit and Karen lived, and he left that job shortly after they went missing. A brave young woman came forward shortly before Marit and Karen's bodies were found. And so after they had gone missing, but before their bodies were found, the investigation's really ramping up. And like everyone's talking about this. And this young woman is like, oh, fuck, I had this weird encounter. I'm going to tell the police.
Okay.
So this woman was aware of their disappearance and felt it relevant to report an encounter that she had with Eddie about a month before the girls disappeared. She said that she was standing outside at a gas station when Eddie pulled up and offered her a ride. Now, in my research, I don't know what kind of cars these people drove.
Was it a
So
cream-colored sedan?
I'm not sure, but it was also the 70s, so like everyone drove a cream-colored sedan.
Right. There was only sedan cars.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that was specifically not mentioned
the
because
only
it's like
cars that exist.
it's the only car that existed.
It was either a sedan or a truck. Nothing else
a
existed.
sedan, an old truck, or like an orange Volkswagen Beetle. Those are the 3 cars that existed.
Right.
No Wagoneer.
Exactly. So she said that she was, again, standing outside at a gas station when Eddie pulled up and offered her a ride. She declined, saying that her friends were coming to pick her up, but it was cold outside. This is December. It's like a month before the girls disappeared. So he managed to convince her to sit in his car and warm up while she's waiting for her friends.
No.
She remembered him making her so uncomfortable and that he was obsessing over the clothes she was wearing, specifically her fur coat, which was missing from Karen.
No.
Karen was also wearing a fur coat. And that he kept saying how much he, quote, loved to rub furry things.
Oh, no.
Which was fucking it for this girl. She was like, nope. She got out of the car. He drove off.
Good for her.
Police
I mean,
looked
I
into him.
also like to rub furry things,
Yeah.
but not
Oh,
like
yeah.
a creepy
But you're not
way.
Only
picking
tell
up
your
random...
friends.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick someone up and like start touching their coat.
Yeah.
Or even just
Without
talking
asking
about
anyway.
but the items of clothing that are missing are fur-lined boots
Yeah.
from Marid and a fur coat from Karen.
Yep.
And the 2 necklaces, but So police looked into him and found that he was indeed employed at WVU at the time of Marid and Karen's disappearance, and that he had called sick into work on January 18th and 19th. The girls had gone missing on the 18th. They had already received the triangle letters by the time they were looking into him, so they went to his home and got a sample for handwriting analysis.
Right, which had
He,
nothing
of
to do
course,
with him.
didn't match.
Perfect match. Oh.
He didn't match because the stupid fake
Yeah,
Colts
the
wrote the
letters
letters.
were irrelevant.
The letters were irrelevant, so he wasn't a match, and they dismissed him as a suspect, and he's one of the possible killers who was not followed up on after the letters were determined to be a hoax. I personally think it was him.
God.
But the fucking beheader.
I know.
Unless Eddie knew about the beheader.
And was trying to cover it up.
Yes. And
Trying to
so
make it
he
look like
went
someone else.
back and the blood
And cut
was
their
already
heads off.
stopped bleeding.
Maybe.
How can there be this many gross fucking people in such a small area?
Well,
Yeah,
there
I mean,
are
there's
a
one
lot
more-
of disgusting men. Turns
So
out
many.
there are just way more disgusting
9 out of 10
men than
men.
you even
9 out of 10 men
realize. And
are
like
foul.
that is
Fucking
like I
gross.
fucking shudder to think. Like it
Ugh,
is.
Never meet a man.
Ugh.
There was also a serial killer active in that area around that time.
Ah,
The 70s
of
were
course.
incredible. A man named John Brennan Crutchley.
Ish.
Hacker, Slaughter, and
Crutchley.
And I think this John Brennan Crutchley guy became known as like the vampire rapist.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, hard no. I didn't go too deeply into him because I actually don't think this guy did it.
No.
But
People
what-
who live in Morgantown, get
Get
out.
out. Run.
In West
doing-
Virginia.
Let's do a Morgantown
Go.
live show.
Just
Oh.
go.
See what happens. So this murderer's sister had attended WVU in 1970, so that's a connection. His father worked at the company who happened to own the land where the girls' bodies were found. And he was confirmed to have been on a break from school over the time that Marid and Karen went missing. However, all of this connecting to him is strictly circumstantial. Nothing can actually put him in Morgantown on the day the girls disappeared.
But
So
we
I feel
know
like
he
this
was a
is weak.
serial killer.
We do know
What
that.
was his MO? Do you know?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was already
Yeah,
like,
we've got a lot
so
to go
far
on.
gone.
Yeah.
But feel free.
Oh,
John
yes,
Brennan
there was an
Crutchley.
active serial killer at the time. I didn't
right.
have time to get into it.
I didn't.
There was a
There
lot.
are too many other
No, I know.
more
I just-
likely suspects.
Oh, Crutchley is he's
Really
really
creepy.
creepy looking.
Is it the vampire rapist guy?
Yeah, well,
is
this last guy, this convicted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop
Yeah.
the picture.
He's narcy.
Are you ready? I don't know
I'll
that you're
never
ready.
be ready, but go ahead.
Do it. Drop it.
Oh God. Okay. Oh wow.
It's disgusting.
Oh, Crutchley.
Oh, he's suspected of murdering up to 30 women.
No.
Not great. Not great.
No.
So
When you have glasses that big and eyes that small and
Tone it the
lips
fuck
that
down.
thin,
mm-hmm.
you're not going to get away with anything.
No.
Ugh.
So this case remains open and active. Like just this past summer, forensic professionals set up a full-blown like archaeological excavation of the area where the girls were found in search of like heretofore undiscovered evidence. They're still looking for the fucking heads, and they dispatched cadaver dogs to look for them, used ground x-ray technology to aid in their search, made a huge grid, and none of it has yielded a smoking gun. So this case, like, while it's quote-unquote closed in the court,
It's not.
it's not. Like,
Yeah, that Eugene
That
guy was
fucking guy
creepy,
didn't
but
do it.
no.
he didn't do I really don't think he did it.
No.
And now this case is over 50 years old.
Wow.
It's so fucking sad. I hadn't heard of this case. This case is wild.
All right, let's vote on the suspects. We have Hacker, Slaughter, Crutchley,
Yep.
or Eugene, who
Eugene.
confessed.
I'm a Slaughter. I think
The
it was
janitor.
Slaughter.
I'm a slaughter,
I think it was
too.
the janitor.
I'm a slaughter, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Hacker or
It's a
Slaughter.
toss-up between Hacker and Slaughter, but the fact that Slaughter worked in their dorm,
In their dorm. And then
In
called in
their
sick
dorm.
to work. It's the called
The
in sick to
day-
work for me.
yeah,
Because, like, the
it's-
fur thing, maybe he was just high and, like,
Who doesn't like fur?
right.
Everyone likes
Everybody
fur,
likes to
but-
rub furry things.
Right, not fur specifically, but you know, yes, there she goes.
It's
Grabs her
Jelly Beth.
Jelly Beth. Yeah, the Eugene Slaughter thing is the one that
Eddie
really
Slaughter.
sticks. Sorry, Eddie Slaughter really sticks in my craw, as they say.
I'm a
Yeah.
slaughter. I'm on the slaughter side.
Yeah.
Are you a hacker, Kenya?
The beheadings, I think it's Slaughter, but I like my theory of he went back on the 19th
Mm-hmm.
and was like, shit, I got to cover this up and make it look like it's this unsolved beheading guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I could see
but
that.
how many murderers have the foresight to be like, oh, I really want to kill someone, so I'm going to make it look like someone else did
It wouldn't have to be foresight. It could have been afterthought. I'm saying
Yeah,
it was
he could have gone
afterthought.
back.
Like
He could have gone back a day or two after.
He realizes they've already been reported missing right away, and he gets a little spooked and he goes back.
Cuts their heads off potentially for evidence / trophies /
Right.
to throw off the
That would
MO.
explain the blood too.
Right.
Yep,
That's what I'm
the
saying.
lack of blood. Weird, right?
Mm.
I do think that the no blood on the clothes thing really makes me think that either they were fully nude, but I also feel like we would know that, like there'd still be blood on their skin and stuff, but like that wasn't mentioned in any reports. Granted, a lot of this stuff is like old articles from the 70s, so I don't know how gory they're gonna get with
Maybe
it.
it was
but
some sort of like MO, like he, washed them afterwards.
Maybe.
Or like took all their clothes, I
don't know.
Who knows?
I do
Ugh.
not know.
Also,
But
if he just got his jollies off on the fur, then he wouldn't have to have actually sexually assaulted them.
right.
Like if he just got his jollies off on the death and the fur.
He still would have
Yup.
killed them.
I know.
though.
Yeah.
And like
but they were
there
saying
would have
there
been
wasn't
blood.
evidence. Right. But she's saying that this
Post-mortem.
tracks with the lack of evidence of sexual
right,
assault.
right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's what she's connecting.
Also,
Yeah.
as I'm
No,
just
it's,
stroking Jelly Beth.
You're
Yeah.
really soothing yourself, and it's making me soothed through the television. So thank you. But anyway, that's my case.
Holy fucking shit.
I know.
That's one of the craziest cases I think you've ever covered.
I think so too. It was very
She was
fascinating.
spicy.
Yeah.
So I said, I texted them earlier, and I was like, "This
She's
is
spicy.
a spicy case." Roll
Well,
spicy.
thank you
Yikes.
to our fan picker, Andriana,
Mm-hmm,
for selecting this topic and sending that case. That was
Yeah.
fascinating.
Really
Good.
fascinating.
Fucking Lord.
I know
Yep.
what I'm going to be doing the next time I visit my aunt and uncle's cabin in West Virginia.
I'm going to be
Looking
avoiding
for-
West Virginia.
Looking for heads.
Looking for heads.
Ah.
Headhunters.
Headhunting.
God. All right.
All right.
We will
All
see
right.
you next week.
We're bad people. We're so sorry.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Kala Yip, music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell, editing by Jonathan Camp. Check out our website and blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, basically wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And if you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support, visit our Patreon page to keep this podcast and the wine flowing. Cheers!